Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast with Ani and Brian. Join us as we explore the art and science of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools to strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional. Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you'll understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence. If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hi, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzaskos.
Hey, Brian, how are you today?
Hey, Ani, how are you?
I'm really good. What are we talking about today on episode 19?
Episode 19, we are talking about the confluence of somatics and energy coaching.
Energy coaching.
Energy coaching.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. What is that?
Well, our good friends over at Life Coach Magazine quotes energy coaching as energy coaching is a transformative approach that guides clients towards achieving balance, revitalization, and healing in their mind, body, and spirit.
That sounds like what we do.
It sure does, doesn't it? When you look around at what does an energy coach do? Like, what kinds of things do they do? I did a pretty good search.
I'm sure you did.
Through the internet of different energy coaches, and it's kind of like a wide variety of things, which makes sense because everything's energy. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Like, literally everything is energy.
And energy medicine, I'm assuming it has threads to energy medicine.
And energy medicine.
Energy medicine's a pretty wide field.
Yeah. So energy coaching.
Yeah. What'd you find out?
I have found out that some energy coaches, they call themselves energy coaches, but they're actually doing like energy medicine stuff. Like they're actually hands-on stuff. So, and they could be combining both energy. So coaching, remember, is kind of inquiry. Like when we do coaching, we're really asking really good questions about things, and we're guiding people's awareness of an experience. And then hands-on stuff.
Coaching's pretty gray, but I think not hands-on is
not hands-on,
pretty
exactly.
Clear.
Yeah. So coaching is like usually is not hands-on. As soon as hands-on, we're kind of in that realm of therapies, really.
And licensed professionals too, maybe, because energy medicine professionals aren't necessarily licensed professionals unless they're licensed professionals who are doing energy work, hands-on energy work.
Right. Correct. Yeah. So let's just talk about energy work for a second, and then we'll talk about energy coaching.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to kind of parse out some things. So energy work, well, you're a certified energy medicine professional.
I am.
So when you think about energy work, I think about things like Reiki.
Yeah.
I think about things like Qigong, hands-off Qigong practices.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Healing transmission practices.
Yeah.
What other things do you think about when you think about energy work?
Well, when you said Qigong, I was actually thinking of the movement form Qigong because that's something that we do with ourselves. But you're right. There's also transmission work. And I think that's the really interesting thing about energy work is even with Barbara Brennan's work and Donna Eden's work, all of those things, Reiki, I'm trying to think, like, I think all of the energy medicine practices I've learned that are really kind of strictly in alignment with the energy medicine place. Like, for example, craniosacral therapy also has elements of energy medicine in it, but that's not strictly in the energy medicine lane. It could also be an osteopathic or something like that, right? So in the modalities that are strictly in the energy medicine lane, there really is this both self-healing and stuff I can do with and on myself, and elements of the practice that I can do with other people. So that's kind of cool.
So can we just parse that out for a second, just so we be clear? So I think if we were in clear lanes, which most people aren't, by the way, but just to talk about this, we're just in clear lanes. An energy worker would do something to someone else. Is that
Yeah, but they could also, and in the learning of it, they're learning things that they do with themselves or
to themselves, to themselves.
to themselves.
And so where coaches tend to work with people.
Mhm.
That's just another little, again,
Oh yeah,
there's like gray areas in here, right?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to, I think the more ways we look at this, maybe there can be a better understanding about it. I'm not trying to put anybody in buckets. I'm not trying to like say it's black and white or put anybody in fences.
Let's do this one because it's a little bit more delineated. Like energy work works with the energy, works with energy fields and the energy, meaning the thing I can't see.
Okay.
So, for example, in some lines of energy, we're working with life force energy, or in lines of energy medicine, we're working with life force energy or chi or prana, in or Reiki energy, universal energy. In other ones, we're working with the aura, or different elements of the energy body. Also, it was a year-long energy medicine practitioner certification that I took. We did quite a bit of bioenergetic work, which I think is interesting, and I don't want to get us off on a tangent on that, but that was a part of it as well, looking at how the energy basically shapes our physical form.
Mm-hmm.
So that starts to get into, how do we shape our reality and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting. So even us having this conversation and being in this work for decades, you can still see that we're still kind of actually, I wouldn't say struggling, but having a difficult time containing the idea of what energy medicine or energy coaching is, because at the end of the day, it's all at the beginning of the day, actually, beginning and middle and end of the day, it's all energy. It's all energy. We are energy. Our physical bodies are energy. Everything around us is energy. It's all energy. And I do digress again. We seem to digress a lot on this podcast, but coming back to energy coaching for a second. So let's come back to what's energy coaching. So when I looked around, some energy coaches were doing things like kinesiology, like muscle testing.
Oh, yeah,
Other
that's
energy
super
coaches
cool. That makes sense.
We're doing things like acupressure, right? Which is also something we teach here at the Somatic Coaching Academy. And so they were doing some hands-on things too, which I wouldn't necessarily bucket specifically as coaching, but that's where I'm saying,
yeah, sure.
That could be just that person I was looking at, or that group I was looking at. They may have had more training than just a coaching training program. Mm-hmm. So energy coaching, I was looking at some different curriculums for different energy coaching programs. And a lot of them sound a lot like what we do here at the Somatic Coaching Academy. A lot of them are helping people to get very clear on what it is that they want to try to accomplish by working with energetic blocks in the body to help move more freely and easily towards the goals that they really want. By helping, so a lot of them would do guided visualization practices to move energy through the body. Some would work with chakras, those types of things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do that in some of our graduate work.
We do that in our graduate work as well. So it made me really think, it's like, wow, at the Somatic Coaching Academy, we're actually effectively teaching people energy, and we knew that,
and we
right?
knew
know that.
Yeah, but that's not what I expected you to say when you were talking about the curriculums.
What'd you expect me to say?
I really expected you to say that the curriculum was really founded on this idea of who you're being.
Well, I think those are parts of it too. Okay. Yeah, those are parts of it too.
I expected that to be a big part of what you were talking about, because when we look at our curriculum, energy medicine is infused throughout the curriculum, like really infused throughout the curriculum. One of the main kind of more overt ways, at least I think, that it shows up is when we teach our students about the being and how their being to affect outcomes. And one of the ways that really simply translates to energy work is, when we're doing energy work with a client, their being is pinging off of our being. So we need to be really aware of it. When we're working with people with energy work, with like hands-on energy work. And I think that was a really like easily translatable energy medicine principle into our curriculum, that one of the things about energy work that I think is really cool is this like magical component of it. Like I can hover my fingers above your body, I can hover my hands above your body, do I don't know what, and then the person has a release, or they get up and they feel better, or they have this vision while they're laying on the table or whatever. Like magic happens, and it feels like you're not even doing anything and magic happens. And those are some of my favorite components of our curriculum, when the magic seems to happen and it seems like we didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, all that stuff is explainable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. We actually
absolutely
know why that happens in that way. I just want to kind of put that out there as well. One of the hidden, I don't know if we've hidden this into our mission statement somewhere, but something we're clear with our students about when they start with us is that one of the missions that we have at the Somatic Coaching Academy is to help make energy medicine practices everyday things.
Yeah.
Right? Not weird things, not strange things. To see someone doing an energy medicine practice for themselves or in a coaching relationship, it's not like weird, woo-woo, strange, odd. It's like, it's like brushing your teeth.
It's normal to normalize those things. And I think that's really happening, Brian. I mean, we see, for example, more leaders starting meetings with core centering practices. That's so cool. Even if people aren't doing that, somebody might say, let's all take a deep breath before we start, or, something like that. Like, I think it's happening more, and we have a long, long way to go. I would love, by the end of my career, when I'm one of our sons loves to impersonate the old person voice and say, Edna, when I'm an Edna, I want to do a webinar or something like that, and have nobody say the word woo woo or weird. And not to say that I don't completely with open arms welcome that now, because it's a big question that people have. Is what you're doing considered weird or woo-woo? Do people think you're weird? Do you feel weird? It seems a little weird. At some point in my life, I'd love to get to the place where it's normalized and, that's not a concern.
Well, I think where we are as humans right now is we still place so much emphasis on our eyes, on the visual confirmation of things as humans. I don't remember the exact percentage of how much we depend on our eyes compared to other senses in our bodies, but as humans, we really depend a lot on our visual confirmation of things. So when something's invisible, and by invisible, all it means is that it's outside of the capacities of the human visual system, because obviously cats and dogs can see things that humans can't see. Like bats can see things that humans can't see, right? Like bats can see them all, right? They use radar. Anyway, but other animals
I'm just thinking about the cat staring at the corner, right? And then all of a sudden they jump. They're seeing stuff.
So cats can see stuff that humans can't see. So there's things outside of the visual spectrum of humans that exist, that we know exist. But if humans don't know that they already exist, then they'll question their existence until they have some other form of confirmation, which is why we have research, energetic research, to confirm that there are different radio waves and Wi-Fi signals traveling through the world right now that I can't actually see.
Doesn't Deepak Chopra talk about that? I think he says that we can only perceive 99.9% of the information that's actually available to us, but with our human, have you heard that? No. Oh my God, it's so old. I've heard it so many times. I know it's Deepak Chopra talks about it. That 99.9% of the stimuli around the human apparatus just can't pick up.
Right. We cannot pick up 99.9%.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So I just want to be clear. You're saying
exactly.
we cannot pick up 99.9%.
Exactly.
Right? We can only pick up 0.1%.
Very, very small
of things. Yeah. That makes sense to me, of all the things around us.
Right.
So when we don't have that visual confirmation, that creates a barrier to uptake of the confidence or validating the thing. And that's what I love about somatic coaching, actually, because somatic coaching works at the interface between the invisible and the visible.
Ooh, that sounds so.
That's really what we're doing when we do somatic work, because our bodies are energy. Energy is moving through our bodies. And if you're already scratching your head going, I don't believe that, Brian, then think about, have you ever heard of an EKG? Everyone's heard of an EKG. You get on a treadmill, you have electrodes put on your chest, you run on the treadmill, and there's a readout on the screen of the electrical output of your heart. Well, electricity is energy. So yes, our bodies have energy. And have you ever, and do you feel different? Do you have a different felt quality in your body, or different sensations when you're on that treadmill and when you're off the treadmill, and your heart's changing and there's different electrical impedance and those kinds of things going on? So we know that the sensations in our bodies are simply the flags for energetic changes. So what do we mean by flags? Well, if you looked out your window, you wouldn't know the wind is blowing unless you saw something moving, because you can't see wind. You can't see wind, but you can see wind's effects on things. So if you had a flag out or a windsock or something on your porch, then you'd see the flag moving and you'd say, oh, the wind is blowing. But the only reason you know it's blowing is because you can see the flag. In our body, sensations are essentially flags for energy change. And then there's another other thing I want to say. You know, some people make fun of people who say they can feel energy.
Yeah.
And so, well, how can you possibly feel energy? And I'd like, have you ever put your hand on an electric fence?
No, I have not.
But if you had, you'd be feeling energy. Right? Electricity is a form of energy.
Yeah.
Have you ever put your hand on a hot stove?
Yes.
You're feeling energy when you do that. So everybody can feel energy. The question is how subtle the energy can someone feel? Because electrical fence and a hot plate aren't very subtle, but everybody can feel energy. And so we have receptors in our bodies that are designed to feel what's going on in the environment, and everything in the environment that comes into our sense receptors is actually vibrational. It's actually energy. Whether it's sight, taste, touch, smell, sound, it's all vibrational information that enters into our receptor fields. So we're all feeling energy all of the time.
I would assert that people feel the subtleties of the things that are most aligned with their values, Brian. And by the way, we've been taught to be scared of energy and being able to heal ourselves and things like that. We've been taught to be scared. You know, back in the days of, what do they call it, quartering, and terrible things they did to people, and witch trials and like all that. So we've been taught, people, so we can unlearn being scared of our own power. Drawn quarter. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, drawn quarter.
Yeah,
that's what you're going for.
You're like, what is she talking about?
Wasn't following
back in the gray days of,
the gray days.
We've been taught we can unlearn.
Right. We can learn something new. We can learn something new.
And I think that if we're scared of our own energy, or people who can, speak up about the fact that they can feel energy and, sense energy and stuff, I think that really stems from our own core safety stuff that we have going on in our bodies.
Which is still has to do with the idea of energy. So energy coaching, when I was looking at, does look at things like being states and transforming people's limiting beliefs about themselves and those sorts of things. So I can't say for sure what happens in an energy, a purely quote unquote energy coaching session, because we do energy coaching, but we always do it through a somatic framework, through a somatic lens. And of course, we have our 4-step process, right? We help people become aware of what they're experiencing and become aware of specifically the sensations, the interoceptive state of their body. The flags, because that gives us a lot of information to decode about the current results someone is getting in their life. That's the decoding information is right there, is already in the body, held in informational form. Energy is information. Mind, energy, information, they're kind of all in that same triangle of experience. So become aware of, then decode that energy information, and then use your conscious mind to modify, to change your own internal energy states. How do you know you've changed your internal energy states? Because it feels differently. You have different sensations, because the sensations, again, are the flags for what your energy system is, how it's operating inside of your body. And then finally, taking that energy system that we've modified and directing that energy towards the result that you want to get in your life. That's kind of the ways that we interface with the somatic work that we do with people, is the kind of that interface of the visible and the invisible, the tangible and the intangible in someone's experience, to make it real for people, to make it real for folks.
Hearing about the different energy coaching kinds of curriculums and things that people are doing just reminds me of how creative humans are. We've found all these different creative ways to do fun things, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many differences in the different kinds of coaching and different kinds of things coaches call themselves and what we do within our professional contexts and diversify our services and stuff. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as far as kind of the conversation for today, right? The interaction between somatics and energy coaching, I think the final bullet points I would kind of wrap it up with are: everything is energy anyway, which leads to that creativity. And so no matter what you're doing, you're actually working with energy. Whether you are a construction worker breaking up the pavement, you're working with energy. Whether you are a Reiki practitioner, you're working with energy. Everybody's working with energy, essentially. And energy coaching is helping someone learn how to more consciously use their own energy in their own human biofield, in their own energy field, in order to get a better or more desired result in their life. I think that's kind of the way I would kind of sum up what we've been talking about today.
So you have a great rest of your day doing your energy work with whatever you're doing out there in the world. And we're going to have a good time doing ours. And we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself. Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.